Good morning, everyone. It is a beautiful day in East Tennessee, and hopefully you all are enjoying the beautiful weather we're going to have today. I can't remember how warm it's supposed to get, but I think it's supposed to get pretty warm.
68.
68. Oh
That's the
gosh, one
forecast.
of
That's the
those
forecast, right?
days.
Yeah.
Yeah, just beautiful and, good time for getting things prepared in your garden. Oh, this is Gardening Tips Live. I'm Amy Hahn, and I'm a Knox County Master Gardener, and I'm joined by my friends and fellow Master Gardeners, Toby Johnson, Margot Emery, and Brian Townsend, who's joining us from the Pavilion Farmers Market on Hardin Valley. And
Yep.
we are looking at having a great time talking to you all. And if you have any questions about what we talk about, please put them in the comments. We watch those so we can answer you live. But hopefully, if you're watching later, the camera is a little funny today. Um, if you're watching later on YouTube, you can go to the Knoxville Area Gardening Tips Facebook group and ask us questions. Or you can send questions to the Knox County Master Gardeners at kcmgamg@gmail.com. And one of the Master Gardener volunteers will get back to you. Admittedly, it'll probably be not one of the four of us, but it'll be someone who has um, some training in answering gardening questions. And so it'll be a good day. Okay. Excuse me. I am a little stuffed up this morning. I don't know if you get that with all the weather changes we're having,
I'm
but
stand out here and that will freeze your sinuses.
I bet. Yeah. Let's see. Let me get things set up where I can see what I want to see. Um, we usually do a slideshow, and I honestly don't have anything to show. I did not get a winter garden planted this year, having some health issues. And though if you have garlic, it's probably, up a few inches and looking lovely, and this would be a time to give it a spring fertilization to get your maximum bulb size on your garlic. A lot of daffodils are up and blooming, and they're just beautiful. Um, if we have a hard freeze, which I don't think we have predicted in the near future, it will wilt the blossoms, but it won't hurt the leaves at all. It is important that you leave those leaves to feed the bulb under the ground so that it will grow. It will be okay. It actually produces next year's flowers in the bulb this year. So it has to feed that so that you'll actually get good flowering next year. So be sure to leave the leaves until they turn yellow. Um, let's see, anything else we should mention? Just gardening related. We're going to move into Toby did a trip to New Zealand and is going to be sharing a lot of beautiful garden photos from that trip. And they're actually the opposite seasons from ours. So, what is it? You were there in their summer?
Yes.
Yeah. So it'll give us an idea of some things we might look forward to in summer this year.
Well, I don't know about that, but yeah, I've got a
Yeah.
story to tell.
Oh, you do? Okay. I
Yeah.
look forward to hearing it. Hi,
Are you
hi
guys
Diane.
ready?
We're
Oh,
ready.
yeah.
Okay. All right. I don't know how to get rid of this sidebar, so I apologize on that of my
Mm,
on my Mac of my photos. But uh New Zealand is fascinating, I will tell you that. And while I was there, I
Mm.
thought a lot about you all, and I was taking pictures specifically to show on Gardening Tips Live because it was fascinating to me. Um, it's just a few like things to like set the context for what we're going to see. First of all, New Zealand, if you didn't know, is actually a continent. It's its own continent. Most of it is underwater. 80 million years ago, it broke off from Gondwana, which was the giant mega continent. And I didn't realize that until I got there. My husband shared with me, who's a geologist and, of course, knows all these things. But it is pretty interesting because most of it is underwater and
Mm.
it's been sinking over time. It is
Mm.
from volcanoes, but most of it's underwater. The important thing, and this is the thing to remember, it's very far away from everything else, which is going
Mm.
to impact the flora and fauna of the islands. So back in the day, and even today, there are, and this guy I'm going to talk about for just a minute because it's going to impact when we start looking at some of our native plants. Um, that there are no mammalian predators in New Zealand that are native. Now, there might have been things that are,
Mm.
and they do a good job of anything that's not native, they get rid of. Even there's been wallabies that have come by that have people have brought in, but there are no snakes. There are no there are no mammalian predators. There are no reptilian predators per se. The only predator, and part of this is because they couldn't get there. Nothing could swim that far.
Mm.
And so the only kinds of things that are native to New Zealand are birds and insects and birds and a few mammals, a few very small mammals. But this is back in the day, the only big land mammal was the moa, and this is the moa. This is from years ago. This is extinct. It's could be up to 12 feet tall and could weigh as much as 500 pounds. So these guys
Yeah.
were tromping through
Now,
the ecosystem.
Toby, can I
Part,
interrupt you a minute?
sure.
I don't want to correct you. You said mammal, but aren't those birds?
Yeah, this is a bird,
Okay.
but right.
So
Sorry.
land animal.
Yes, land animal, I
Okay.
should say.
Yeah.
So the
Sorry.
moa, completely flightless, but trumped around in the ecosystem, eating things. And it's gonna be important later. So just hang on. The other, so that was complete. The moa ate vegetation. The Hass eagle, which was also super huge, was the predator that would eat small things on the ground. Okay. So this is important to the plants because when I got there, I started asking, why are there all these prickly plants, especially up in the mountains? And I realized, oh, so that birds like and other things that were eating things on the ground wouldn't eat it, like the moa. So it, anyway, so just important to know that this is a continent that broke away. It's a islands that are far away from everything, so nothing gets there except if it can fly originally at some point until human beings got there. The apex predator was the Hass eagle. There was the moa wandering around on the ground eating what was there. But humans came in and the moa was hunted to extinction, and the Hass eagle is also is extinct. So that's just important context to what grows in New Zealand. So we went to a place in Wellington called Zealandia. Zealandia is the continent of New Zealand, so where New Zealand sits. So Zealandia is actually a real thing. It's not just made up for this exhibit. And Zealandia is really interesting because it is an eco reserve that it's almost like going into Jurassic Park because they keep all predators It's a sanctuary. So they have done they took this it was a reservoir um for water, and they realized that the water was tainted, and so the city donated this, and they decided to make an eco sanctuary. And it's so interesting. It's like you're going to Jurassic Park, except they don't want you to bring anything in. You're not protecting things to get out, because actually the birds that live in the eco sanctuary actually hang out in the neighborhoods as well around the eco sanctuary. But they check your bags when you go in. They've found people bringing guinea pigs, people bringing mice, people bringing anything that isn't native to New Zealand. They're trying to remove from this eco sanctuary. All animals, whether they be birds, uh, reptiles, etc. And also, they're trying to get back to only native flora. They're not there completely, native plants. They're not there completely yet, but they're moving that way. And they have a fence all the way around that you cannot get in. It's impossible for, and they've had to upgrade this fence and change it over time. But cats are one of the biggest predators of native birds. So they got to keep all these animals that have been introduced to New Zealand over time, keep them out of the sanctuary. So this is what it looks like now. And the trees, the tall trees on the left are not native. They're trying to actually, rather than go in and just like cut everything down, they're trying to work with nature. As things die over time, then they pull them out. So it's a really, really beautiful place. It's all the way from the hilltop all the way down to wetland. And so it's just a gorgeous place to see what happens. And I think this place has been around, don't quote me on this one because I can't remember. I think it's been about 10 years. So, you can walk through on these pathways. It's just absolutely amazing to see what happens when you create a space for wildlife and plant native plants to come back. And they don't do a lot. I mean, they have little trails and things that go through, but mostly it's just let everything come back, and things are coming back. This is a native parrot. There are three native parrots in New Zealand. This is a kaka. And he was so cute. He was just sitting there hanging out. They do feed these birds, but they don't want to feed everybody. So they have a little lever that they push, and the kakas can get in and get their food.
Gosh, I thought from that picture was just a mounted one.
No,
It's
no, that's
so
a real
perfect.
one. I took
Yeah.
I took that picture. Yeah.
Oh,
Sit-
cool.
yeah, totally sitting there. They were flying down and checking out this. There's also quail. I don't know if we can.
Hmm.
So the quail are there, like scratching away and like digging for grubs and things, and just totally cute, just totally cute. So we were, the thing that also was really interested, it was flora and fauna. Now, one of the most famous birds of New Zealand is the kiwi, and this nature reserve has a lot of kiwi. But they don't come out in the daytime. So we didn't go on the torchlight tour, so we couldn't see the kiwi. But how do they know the kiwi are there? They live in these little burrows, and see these sticks coming up. They know whether or not there's a kiwi in the stick because they will knock over these sticks when they come out of the sticks. So this is how they do. We were talking about bird census last week, or last time we
Hmm.
were on Gardening Tips Live. We were talking about the great bird count. This is how inside the sanctuary they figure out whether or not the kiwi are there, which burrows are inhabited. So it's very cool. Um, there's also another very endangered called the tuatara. The tuatara is absolutely adorable. They are endangered, and they are coming back in droves here. And they're not doing anything to breed these animals, they're just coming back. And so I got to see one up close hanging out in the wildflowers and hanging out on the hillside. Here's a pair. I don't know if you can see that one in the back. Uh, and then I caught him. See if I can. I don't know if I. Yeah, I do. He's
chomping range of their mouth.
He's like hanging out, chewing, having a good deal. This is very rare to see one of these guys moving at all. They stay very, very still. So I was like taking a quick video of him. He was kind of fun. I just love his little, just cute, right? All
Mhm.
right, let's get on to and then they have lots of water birds, and the feathers of these birds are amazing. They're so beautiful with that iridescent
Mm.
exterior. They also have a bird called a tui, and it eats part of the fruit off a native tree, and it as it digests, it ferments and it makes the birds drunk. And so here's a tui in the tree sleeping one off. Isn't that amazing? So he's just sitting there, not even moving, and I wouldn't even notice. But the guide like pointed it out. He's like, "Yeah, he's drunk. The bird is drunk." Uh, there's also really interesting old plants here. This plant is more than 1,000. The Rimu is more than 1,000 years old, and they've used it for all kinds of things. It's good for birds. The Captain Cook's crew used to make a beer with it. The native Maori have used it, so it's a very, very old plant, and just beautiful plant. Not all plants have to have big leaves to be beautiful, I think. So I love the team. I'm sorry, yeah, the Rimu. I love the Rimu. It's just beautiful. Okay. And then there's all kinds of ferns, etc., that grow. And we were, and then lots of, if you're a mushroom lover, there's lots of fungus as well. So we were just seeing all kinds of interesting plants. So that was Zealandia, and
Mm.
it was just really interesting to see what happens when nature's left alone and is protected. So they really just kind of let it go, and all these birds came back, and kiwi came back. All the tuatara started multiplying, and when they have space to do their thing, and all the native plants started coming back. So nature does do its thing, if it's left alone. The next place we went was Mount Cook. If you know anything about New Zealand, you've probably heard of Mount Cook. It's the tallest mountain. It's a volcanic mountain. The most interesting thing about Mount Cook is some of the glacial work of Mount Cook. So this is Mount Cook off in the distance. This is Lake Pukaki. This photo does not do it justice. It is turquoise. It is absolutely like a turquoise stone. It's so beautiful. Um, and you go up on the side on the left-hand side of Lake Pukaki to get to Mount Cook. My husband actually has done research on the braided rivers of the Tasman Valley that come from Mount Cook. And if you see in the way, way, way distance, that's the mouth of that braided river. And he had never been there in person. He did all of his research from Google Maps, etc. So he was
Mm.
really excited. You can kind of see at the very top that river, the
Mm.
mouth of that river. That's Mount Cook off in the distance.
Mm.
And the Mount Cook range there, it's just lots of river valley.
The seat there. Wait.
I brought a chair.
Okay. Go ahead and sit. Get
Hey,
comfortable over
Brian,
there.
mute yourself if you would. There you
I
go.
did it.
So, this is the Tasman Valley that river goes up into, and if you see underneath this mountain range, you can see this sort of bowl of, mountain in the valley in the back. Can you see that? That there, I'm going to show you where we went inside that. The sides of that mountain are glacier coming down through the valley thousands of years ago. So that's sort of glacial moraine, they call it, that creates these giant walls. So this valley was filled with a glacier thousands of years ago. So it's just and this flat area, and you're thinking nothing's growing here, right? You're thinking, okay, this is, But then you start to see, no, actually there are. That's Mount Cook up close. We were in a lodge, that the Mount Cook Lodge, which I highly recommend. It is so beautiful. You sit there and have breakfast, and this mountain is like outside your window. Not exactly that close, but um, so, and where I showed you that bowl at the foot of those mountains, there is in that Tasman Valley, there's a lake, and at the edge of the lake, there is a giant wall of glacier. This glacier used to be as tall as where you can see on the left-hand side. So, and while we were there, it had a basal sort of the cleaving of the glacier came off at the base, which is super rare, happened while we were there. And then some other glacier peeled off while we were there. So it was pretty cool. We were out in a boat. Also has icebergs. And again, you can see the glacial moraine behind that big sort of silty stuff, that wall in the back. That's how tall the glacier was. It has receded in the past 10 to 20 years at an alarming rate. It's shocking how much it has receded due to climate change. It is really shocking. Um, and you can see also this is up from that river. There's some smaller little lakes, but you can see where the glacier ice has cut through the mountain in different places, created glacial tilt. And there you can see that's a different lake up that where we went hiking. But you look at this and you think this is really inhospitable. I'm showing you all these beautiful pictures and you're thinking, where are the plants? When's she going to show plants? This is about gardening. I'm getting there, okay? So you can see this is it feels like an inhospitable. There's like nothing going on here. But if you start looking closely, you start to see the plant material that is living here and growing here. And you can see this plant is called a harakiki. You can see these spikes on it. And that's when I started asking the question, why do these plants have spikes? Because there's nothing here that would want to eat them. And I asked my husband this. I'm like, why do all these plants have spikes? It just doesn't make any sense. They're not used for pollination. They're not used for like, what are they there for? But think back to the moa that I showed you at the very beginning, that giant emu-like bird. They ate things like this. So these plants survived because they were spiky, and that bird could not eat it. So those are some of the reasons why. So then there's also other absolutely gorgeous wildflower up there if you pay attention, right? This one is called a uh, koromiku or koromiko. I don't speak Maori, so I can't like say it right. But it totally reminded me of a butterfly bush, right? I was like, oh, look at these. They look like butterfly bushes. So they're koromiku, or koromiko. And they grow, and here we are in this very inhospitable environment, and here they are growing, just loving. Foxglove, look familiar? It's totally beautiful along the side of the trail. This mountain lupin is everywhere in New Zealand, everywhere. And you can see it at the trails. There were tons of bumblebees, so it's absolutely used for pollination. Just gorgeous plant.
Now, one question, you were talking about them trying to get natives. I'm assuming lupine is probably not native there.
Yes, it is.
It is. Oh, how
Yes.
wild.
Yeah, yeah, it's absolutely. And you'll see it also. There was one mountain pass we went over, and there was a creek bed, and it was just filled with different colored, and it was gorgeous. I was just like, look at all this lupin. What is this? So there's also little mountain buttercup that are just growing. They're very tiny. Not everything is so showy. And then there's different kinds of mountain daisy. Just beautiful different types of mountain daisy. There was also on the trail, sides of the trail, I saw our favorite mountain dandelion, which is absolutely like not mountain and not a native. But dandelion, even up in the mountains, once the local ecosystem, when they cut trails in and built stairs to get through the trails, that dandelion found its way there,
Mm-hmm.
which is fascinating, out in the middle of nowhere, but just beautiful. So I think we're going to have time to go through. So,
Oh, cool.
New Zealand is really a story of evolution. It's a story of isolation, um, of where, why are plants growing the way they're growing? And we as gardeners,
Mhm.
when we're out in the world, I often ask myself, why does a plant look like this? Why has it decided to evolve like
Mhm.
this? I mean, it didn't really decide, but why,
Mhm.
why is it this way? And so I started to get a sense of, we got a lot of sense by going to Zealandia and educating ourselves about the
Mhm.
flora and fauna of New Zealand. And it's fascinating because we're so used to seeing large mammals in North America, you know. We still have bison, we have deer,
Mhm.
we have all those things. They don't have any of those things natural that are native. Now they do have herds, people do grow venison, but it's not
Mhm.
native to New Zealand. There's no large mammal or large predator or any
Mhm.
predator in New Zealand. So
What I was
really,
thinking about, you were talking about, them trying to get this one area back to all natives.
hmm
And recently I heard Neil Denton speak and about like the history of our area and particularly the Master Gardener program. But he said there is no square foot in Knox County that has not been changed
yeah,
significantly.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And the change started with the Polynesian. First, the Polynesians
Hmm.
came to New Zealand about
Yeah.
1200, BC. Then, or I'm AD, I should say, not BC,
Hmm.
AD. Uh, and then the Europeans came, several hundred years later, and now it's all kinds of folks immigrating there. And all of that human quote unquote intervention changed the landscape. And so they have these, Zealandia was the first biosanctuary they set up. It's been so successful
Hmm.
so quickly that they're starting to test other ones throughout New Zealand. So it's interesting what happens when nature, has space to do its thing undisturbed. So
Hmm.
now we're going to talk about disturbed, but like absolutely cultivated plant material now. So we went to the Christchurch Botanic Gardens. It has a river that goes through it, the River Avon. You can see that. It's very much modeled after England. Lots of folks came from England, so there's a lot of British kind of feel to Christchurch and the names of the places like the River Avon, etc. But it is absolutely a gorgeous botanic garden. And I personally think it rivals Kew Gardens in London. And I've been to Kew Gardens and I think I've shown pictures of Kew Gardens here. And I feel like it rivaled it. So it's beautiful if you ever get a chance to go. It's the South, Christchurch is in the middle of the South Island on the east coast of the South Island of New Zealand. So there's the River Avon that winds through. While we were there, we got to see a corpse plant blooming,
Oh,
which is
wow.
Hmm.
such a rare thing. We didn't even know. We were there and I'm like, wait, what's this? This is a corpse plant. And I explained to my husband, like, this is like really, really rare. You don't know. And
Hmm.
it only blooms for like 5 to 10 days. It's complete. I'm nerding out right now, right? So here's the
Hmm.
plant. It's behind
Oh,
glass,
cool.
which, we didn't get to smell. It's, funky. It
Oh.
smells corpse plant. It smells very putrid. But it is sort of on its way out. Like if it were like full bloom, it would be like
Hmm.
this more, but it was on its way out. And it is absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. And it only blooms, I think it blooms like every decade or something. What is it?
Yeah, not very much.
It doesn't, I'm trying
I'll
to think.
Hmm.
check.
Yeah, I think it doesn't bloom very often.
Hmm.
And it only blooms for like 5 to 10. Oh, here we go. For a few days, once every 5 to 10 years. There you go.
Whoa.
So, imagine that. Imagine that. It's gonna, and I'm
Hmm.
like, so it, I it was amazing. So corpse
Yeah.
plant, the Titan, what do they call it? The Titan arum is the proper name. I call it the corpse plant. Lots of people call it the
Mm.
corpse plant. Okay. There's also lots of at the Christchurch Botanic Garden, there's also lots and lots of other plants that are amazing. Um,
Mhm.
the Armstrong Lawn has a ton of old trees. So it is a botanical garden that has an arboretum as part of it. So lots of old, beautiful, like here's a hinoki that's just super old. Um, they have this one area where you walk up these stairs and then you can be, and they call it the pineum, and you can look up and it's just these tall pine trees, just absolutely beautiful, beautiful redwood, just beautiful trees. There's a eucalyptus, and can you see me like there? I'm like all the way down here with my pink jacket on. That's how big that eucalyptus tree is.
Mm.
And it was, smelled beautiful, was just absolutely gorgeous. So lots of beautiful trees, but also lots of flowers. And we're going to look for those of you who love ornamentals. Why is this not one of,
Mm.
for those of you who love ornamentals, and there's just a quail in the hanging out in the brush. There's lots of bird life there as well. So the borders there are, and the just beautiful mixes of plant color and texture, just everywhere, just very thoughtful combinations.
Mm.
This spurge is really pretty.
And are these
um
all native plants,
no,
Toby?
no.
Okay.
Like I said when I started with that, now we went from native to like fully cultivars, right? Like
Okay.
most are cultivar. I would not say nothing's native here, but most of it isn't. um so they have this beautiful border that you can see throughout the year. At each season it looks completely different. Now that we were there, it was winter here because we were there in January, so it was winter here but it's summer down there, so we got the benefit of these beautiful borders. So
Mm.
let me get into stuff that was in the border. So beautiful hydrangeas, um lilies, just beautiful. Now look at this thing. And it was a
Mhm.
block long, maybe. And as you went through it, the colors changed. They had like themed colors, like hot colors, jewel tones, and they would cluster colors together. So it's just absolutely beautiful. And you can see like Russian sage. A lot of these I was walking through going, oh my God, it's Russian sage. I have that in my yard, right? So everything there
Mhm.
were familiar to us, or most things were red hot poker. Yeah, we know what that is. Much of it is familiar to us, but way bigger. Like I would
Mm.
say, 1.5 to 2 times the size of what we have. The South Island, I thought it was going to be very hot there. And it wasn't, because if you think about it, the North Island is actually warmer because the South Island is getting closer to the
Mm.
South Pole. So look at these beautiful
Mhm.
combinations of colors.
Mm.
Aren't they just gorgeous?
Mhm.
Just, and like packed. I mean, look at these. Now, look how huge these are. They're huge,
Mhm.
you know. I think this is thistle, no?
Yes.
Yeah. And then they have more sort of formal, less, sort of pollinator all over the place, more formal beds that, annuals, just very, very formal. And then back in the back is that lawn where all the old trees are. Um, just beautiful. I just had to take a million pictures. Now, for those of you who are dahlia, nuts for dahlias, let me just show you some pictures, okay? This dahlia border
Mm.
was huge, huge. It went halfway around the giant rose garden, and I'm going to show the rose garden too for in a minute. But dahlia border was insanity. I mean, we were like there for, I don't know, half an hour just taking pictures because there were so many different kinds of dahlias. So you can see it stretches on forever. And
Mm.
they have all these specimen plants throughout. Look at these. Are you kidding me? They're beautiful. They're like everyone is precisely like blooming,
Mhm.
right? It just everyone, I love that color on the left of like pink and yellow together
Mhm.
and orangey. It's just beautiful, just gorgeous, just perfect flower. Dahlias, they are perfect flowers, aren't they?
Mhm.
Look at these.
Mhm.
Crazy. I mean, crazy. Look at these. These were really cool. They had these longer petals in the outside and the shorter petals in the
Oh,
inside. Just
cool.
thought these were like really unique and very cool. Um, just all kinds of different dahlias, just beautiful. Look at these. These are dahlias. Isn't that crazy? Um, you could go on and on. That's why I say it rivals Q because they had all of these different
Mhm.
collections of types of flowers and plants. Beautiful, right? Just beautiful. And then they had a rose garden. And when we were at the rose garden, I thought of Brian. He's not here right now. Too bad because he's missing out on his rose garden. But they have a central rose garden, and these are like it's obsessive. Look how many roses they have there. They have hundreds, you know? So they have a collection, they have a central rose garden. It's all labeled, all numbered. If you're a rose fanatic, you can go to town here. And then they had these beautiful arches that were and then they had some topiary, to make it a little bit more formal. Tons and tons. If you're nuts about roses, this is the place to go. It's so beautiful.
Mhm.
Look at these beautiful walkways and just arches, trellises. They also had a collection of fuchsia.
Mm.
And so they had, I don't know how many fuchsia plants, maybe 50, maybe 100. So we're walking around. I'm like, this is sort of in a shaded area, kind of understory
Mhm.
area. Beautiful fuchsia everywhere. Look at all these different kinds of fuchsias, all labeled.
Mhm.
Beautiful. Um, this is a fuchsia. I said, no way is that a fuchsia. Yes, it's a fuchsia. So they have unique kind of shapes and habits for these different plants. So it's absolutely beautiful. And then this was a fuchsia, and I looked at this and I went, "How can this be a fuchsia? I'm not seeing any blooms. That bloom is a spent bloom from some other plant, but this ground cover is a fuchsia." I'm like, "What's going on here?" So they also have a woodland garden where they had not only woodland plants growing throughout. Uh, so some of these are uh, some of the ferns that grow in New Zealand that are more like trees than ferns. But lots of wildlife, lots of natives. Now, Margot, you were asking about natives. These are natives. These particular plants are native in the woodland garden because it's a native woodland garden.
Do
Aren't
you
these?
remember what that is?
Jeez,
It's
uh,
gorgeous, whatever it is.
I'm
Mhm.
I don't remember what it is. I was looking up stuff before I got here, but
Yeah, no worries. I'll
and then
maybe
there's
Google search
native
it.
berries. There were
Mm.
lots of birds hopping around native berries. Here's other native. Look at these. Aren't these beautiful?
Mhm.
Just gorgeous. Just gorgeous little area. I'm telling you, the place is huge. Other native plants. Look at this. Look at this
Mhm.
blue. It's just beautiful. I don't have all
Yeah.
the names for these. I'm really sorry. There's
Yeah, that
so
one reminds
many.
me of like larkspur or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's not exactly, so it's something different.
Yeah, exactly. And I went online and I was looking at, but there's so many to remember that I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it.
Mhm.
These are some type of lily, obviously, but there is native lily in New Zealand. So that was another area of the garden. Then they have a dry garden where it's all plants that survive in drought. And of course, my husband's going gaga over it because he's a geologist, so he's going gaga over all of the stone here. But I thought it was quite interesting to see a dry garden here because I always think of New Zealand is a wetter place, but it actually can be quite dry. Um, so they, you know, planted plants throughout, and it's just kind of xeriscape, so they don't really need to irrigate too much. So I thought that was quite inspirational because we have a place, our garden in Washington State in Western Washington, believe it or not, our front yard gets baked there and it's very, very dry. And in the summer, things die. So we've been having some of our trees die. So I've been looking for, rather than try to irrigate everywhere, I've been looking for inspiration for rock gardens and dry gardens where now I don't know about these plants in the wintertime. I'm assuming in the South Island of New Zealand it does rain quite a bit, but not sure about that. Don't know that for sure. So I'm not sure how these do in a lot of rain, but I'm always looking for inspiration. Then to wrap it up, I have one area of the garden I left for because I know there's a lot of folks who like ornamentals that watch us, and we always talk about on Gardening Tips Live, we always talk about vegetable gardens. So I thought I'd start with like uh, the story of New Zealand, the evolution of the flora and fauna, why things look the way they do now versus back then. And then talk about what are the native plants that grow up in the alpine regions, but also in the woodland. And now I'm getting to, of course, the vegetable garden because we're geeks here about vegetable gardens. So there is this beautiful little curator's house that's a cafe
Mm.
on in this is in Christchurch in the Botanic Garden on the corner of the Botanic Garden. And there's this tiny, very small little vegetable garden. It is very small, and it packs a punch. It absolutely packs a punch. I love that in the garden they also have some sculpture just to keep it interesting. Some And you can see right up there on the right hand side, those are pears. If you can see right
Oh,
there.
lovely.
Yeah, so there were fruit trees growing in this tiny garden. This is not an orchard, and you can see some pears in the next as well in the next arch. So I was looking at like, okay, what if you only have small spaces? I also love the walkway. It's these concrete pavers, but also they took stones and made these kind of side ornamental kind of side pieces or to the walkway. I thought that was really pretty. I'm always looking at stuff like that, like, oh, what are they doing with the land, the hardscape, as well as, okay, why does this not want to? There we go. So, isn't that how you transition from a
Mhm.
paver to a
Nice.
gravel?
Yeah.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yes.
I just thought that was just absolutely gorgeous. Um, so more, and they have uh, more arches. I think these are grapes, I want to say. And then um, they're protecting with some cold frames. They also had a tiny bee house that I'm sure they're using to make sure all their fruits and veg get pollinated. So there's more of those pears. Isn't that
Mhm.
amazing? It's in a tiny little space. Grapes
Mhm.
growing. So they also, it's an educational garden. So they have a few signs here and there that talk about, here's what is it for cold frames? How do you start early, finish late, extending the cold growing season, which is actually relevant right now here, right?
Mhm. Yes.
So if you want to put things out early, you can cold frame, you can cover
Mhm.
with floating row cover, you can
Mhm.
do low hoop house. There's all kinds of things you can do if you want to start things early this year. But
Mhm.
they have all kinds of, don't you love that design of that walkway?
Mhm.
Isn't that gorgeous? So, and again, this is the garden in total, basically. There's a one other area, but it's next to a cafe. It's not very big. So they have their cold frames going. This was even in the summertime. So I'm assuming that some of these plants um, I'm assuming they're just putting him in there for looks. I'm not sure. And then here they planted. I think this is probably looks like a squash of some kind. So I think they just put plants in here. Now could be getting cold at nighttime. It wasn't like super hot there. It was in the 60s and in the 50s at nighttime. So it was not super hot. Look at this fun little
Yeah.
um, uh,
I wonder
and
if
then
they
they
run into some of the things that they do. I know in England they have trouble getting a lot of our summer fruits and vegetables to ripen.
yeah, so they may yeah,
Yeah.
they talk about raised beds. They have a butterfly house going here, so they're teaching
Oh,
people.
cool.
So, they've got these
Mm-hmm.
wonderful little raised beds, and they're teaching folks that are coming to visit about, and this is right on this side of the river, so it's really beautiful. Look at this beautiful little
Mm.
trellis, and you can drape things over it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they're even planting corn, which was blowing my mind a little bit because I was like, I don't think, that size of a corn, corn needs a lot of space.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're
Well, it
only going to
looks like
get
there's
like one edible corn, husk.
yeah, it looks like there's beans in there.
Yeah, I think they're doing like the Three Sisters.
I was wondering if they were doing like a Three Sisters demonstration.
Yeah, it was more, I think it's more than, it's more of a demonstration than, but
Yeah.
then, lots of herbs. So this was another area of the garden, and you can see all the herbs are labeled. Because this is a botanic. They
Mhm.
talk about crop rotation. And see, it's a very small garden. It's really only this space, and then there's another space behind. It's very small. This was the other another area of the garden, and I just loved, all the little small elements that, this little gate that
Mhm.
just creates like a kind of a charm to their garden. Um, and some of the things they're growing in their beds, just beautiful, just absolutely beautiful. I was going nuts. And then of course I'm always nuts for hardscape and trellising. What interesting trellising are people using? This is kind of fun. This little trellis is fun. I like, then of course our row. Now this I took a picture specifically for you, Amy, because
Uh-huh.
it's all basil all the time in this bed.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But I went, oh my God, I gotta take a picture.
Uh-huh.
Amy's gonna love this. It's
Yeah,
all
that's
basil
cool.
all the time. So this is
Uh-huh.
another area that's all herbs. So and then they have all their herbs labeled, and you can see they have some of these are set in pots, into the ground so they can take
Mhm.
them up. I'm assuming they take them up in the winter when it's cold. Um, but not all of these are in the ground permanently. So you can see here, this is a buried pot. Or it could be because
Mm.
this looks like mint. They're
That,
trying to
yeah,
keep
Yes.
that's
it
mint.
from they're trying to keep it from running and overtaking the entire
Mhm.
garden. That could also be why.
And it's trying very hard.
And it's trying very hard. I'm looking here. I'm not sure what
Yeah.
these herbs are. Let's take a look.
Uh-huh.
I can't read
That
it.
looks like it could be a mint.
Yeah, so it could be
Yeah, I
that as
wonder if
well.
that's the
That could be the
mint.
reason. As a gardener, you're looking at things. The more you learn about gardening, the more you see gardens differently when you go out and visit. You're looking for things like this that most people, if they're not a gardener, they wouldn't even know. They just go, "Oh, this is pretty." Oh, and I'm always like running my hands over things and like smelling. Um, and then just looking at like hardscape and then looking at like, wow, these are all like all the fuchsias I was like, wow, why are all these fuchsias like in the shade? Is fuchsia a shade plant? And I'm like thinking this through, right? Like
Yeah.
you're asking yourself questions as you're going through gardens and visiting.
Mhm.
So, and then I think this is my last picture. Wow, I can't believe I got through
Mm.
130 some pictures.
Oh,
This
that's
Oh,
gorgeous.
that's beautiful.
I just ended with this picture to say that the key takeaways from my trip to New Zealand and just all the flora and fauna I saw was that
Mhm.
they're so inextricably connected. Like plants
Mhm.
and animals are connected. They're not separate things.
Yeah.
We often like think gardening is one thing, the insect world, the animal world, the
Mhm.
birds, mammals, insects, reptiles, they're all separate than our garden, and they're not. They're all together.
Right.
They're integrated. They're all one thing. And they impact each other. And when one isn't doing well, the other doesn't do well on either side,
Mhm.
right? And so I was just so impressed. It really impressed on me.
Mhm.
The Maori culture in New Zealand is very strong. And in New Zealand, they have three official languages: English, Maori, and New Zealand Sign Language.
Mhm.
And these are the official languages.
Mm.
There is a sense of stewardship for the land there, that is very impressive, and an understanding that
Mhm.
all things are connected. And I just found that just really interesting and
Yeah.
true, right? True, because you look at,
Mhm.
and nature will take care of itself if it's given space to do its thing. Like I saw, my husband and I saw at Zealandia. So,
Mhm.
so I'm just inspiring all of you to think of your garden not as separate plants or not as different, separate, your vegetables and your pollinator plants and your this and your that, but to think of it as an ecosystem, and to think of it it is completely connected.
Mhm.
um, and so the more we can do to keep it thriving on all fronts, the better off we are, because we're also connected. We're not separate from the ecosystem that we live in either. So that was what I learned from my trip, and
Oh,
just
cool.
gorgeous. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Uh,
Yes.
Yes.
any final questions, happy to answer, but that's
Yeah.
basically,
That was
it.
great. Go ahead and stop sharing. And um, I liked what you talked about. What is it? As we go to different places, we can look at things that they're doing, even if we can't do the exact plants they're doing, we can take ideas from them. And I think that's so true.
Yeah, and really most like in Christchurch at the Botanic Garden, most of the plants, aside from the natives, the cultivars, are cultivars that we have in our own gardens, many of them, you
Uh-huh.
know? So it
Well,
was it was kind of blowing my mind about that as well. They were just because of, the sun is much more direct there.
mhm,
Um, and because of where they are on the planet,
mhm.
their plants can grow bigger, which I found
Yeah.
interesting.
I couldn't find one article that had all of that woven together, Toby, but AI did it. And it's also the high humidity and the fertile volcanic or alluvial soil.
There you
Uh,
go.
it's a lot of things. High
Mhm.
UV light.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was walking around. I didn't even think, I wear a little bit of sunscreen on my
Mhm.
moisturizer, but I really didn't, we brought a little bit of sunscreen, but it wasn't really, it was cool and it was overcast a lot of the time we were in Christchurch. And so
Mhm.
I was like, I don't need any sunscreen. Well, my nose got burnt,
Mhm.
got kind of crunchy. And I was like, oh, okay. And then folks were telling me, like, look, UV down here is intense, So, but yeah, the volcanic
Mhm.
soil. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
Well, and it seems like they were talking about a more moderate climate than we have.
yes.
And one of the things that makes plants not do well here is our high summer heat,
Yeah.
and it sets them back. And just the temperature swings we have. I mean, you can just look at the past few weeks. We were down, what, low 20s, high teen, you know,
Yeah.
um, what is it, high teens a week ago.
Right.
And now we're looking at almost 70 degrees today.
Yeah.
That's massive temperature swings, and plants don't adapt. Many plants don't adapt well to that.
Yeah. And it was
Yeah.
interesting, like the photographs of the um, perennial border.
Hmm.
They showed photographs. I showed you the sign where they had photographs for each
Yeah.
season. In the winter, it doesn't look like that. It's not like these
Hmm.
plants because of the temperate climate. They look like that year round. They're still
Right.
going through their cycle, right?
Hmm.
But they must grow faster,
Uh-huh.
um, during the spring, right? And
Right.
their growing season must be much longer.
Yeah. Well, what is it? What is their, it's latitude? Because that affects
Yes.
day length. How long were the days?
I don't
You know?
our days in the summer, they weren't uh I think it was getting dark at around 9 p.m. and it was
Okay.
getting light at about 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're pretty high latitude. And
Yeah.
higher in latitude, closer to the poles.
Yeah, which is the same in the Pacific Northwest,
Hmm.
In Pacific Northwest in the middle of the summer, it'll get dark.
Yeah.
It'll get dark at 10 p.m.
Because I know, like, they talk about in Alaska, some of the biggest giant, like, cabbages and vegetables that can handle the cold there, they'll
Right.
get like record
Yeah.
giant plant,
Yeah. Yeah.
giant vegetables, because their days are so long. And I was wondering if that didn't have something to do with
Yeah.
it.
The other thing I did not read a lot about anywhere was, which doesn't mean it's not happening, but I didn't hear about it anywhere, was, plants dying off from pests,
Mm-hmm.
or from the changing climate, at least so far.
Right.
And part of that is because when you come into New Zealand, they're very strict about what you can bring in. You can't
Mm-hmm.
bring in seeds. You can't. In fact, they even check your if you have hiking boots that have soil on them.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they're asking about all kinds of stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a very special place that they understand needs protection. In fact, I had a banana on the airplane
Mm-hmm.
on the way over.
Uh-huh.
And I had it in my carry-on, and I ended up eating it on the airplane and then, throwing it in the trash with the rest of the trash on the airplane. And when
Right.
I got off, they had dogs in customs,
Mm-hmm.
and the dogs were smelling everybody's bag, and the dog smelled my bag, and they stopped me
Oh,
and
interesting.
said, "What's in your bag?" And I go, "Well, I had a banana. Do you have any plant material or food in your bag?" And I said, "Well, I had a banana in here." And they go, "When did you have it in there?" And I go, "When did you get rid of it?" And I go, "Oh, about an hour ago, because I had it with breakfast when we were
Mm-hmm.
getting close to landing." And they said, "Okay, you can go." So the
Uh-huh.
dog could smell a banana
Right.
that was gone for like, so they're very particular, and for good reason,
Mm-hmm.
to bring any pests in that might impact the plants down there.
I'm
Wow.
curious about that too, because in the
Mm-hmm.
United States, we've had exotic invasive insects come in on
Mm-hmm.
pallets, wooden pallets, and in
Yeah.
Yep.
container shipping carton things. So I wonder what New Zealand does with regard to imports like that to also control.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Mm-hmm.
they're like Amazon boxes. Their Amazon shipments come from Australia. Like if you order on Amazon, it comes from Australia. So I wonder how they protect, like,
Yeah.
because I've had like Chinese roaches in my garage from an Amazon box.
Mm.
And luckily we took care of it right away and, it didn't spread but
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. It's really interesting to think. Um,
Hmm.
mhm.
Whatever they're doing a great job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they are very strict about it. Before we leave, I want to talk about a couple things that are happening this weekend. So let me share this and let me get it where you can actually see it, right? Um, there are seed swaps this weekend at Beardsley Farm today, this afternoon, from 3 to 5 p.m. And then tomorrow at Imes Nature Center, 11 to 2 p.m. Um, I'm actually going to be coming to swap at both of those. We will have a master gardener table there if you have gardening questions. and they're wonderful events. What is it? The Beardsley one is a little more chaotic. Well, they're very different seed swaps, but they're both wonderful. I've been going to both of them for years, and when it come, if you see me, say hi, and if you don't see me, say hi to the folks at our Master Gardener table. And I don't. I'm sure there are some other events going on in the Knoxville area in the coming weeks, but March is not as busy as April will be because April is a big gardening event month. So start, watch watch the calendars. There's a lot that's going to be happening in April, and we'll let you know about some of it. If you have any gardening questions in the next week or next couple weeks, be sure to put them in the group or email them to us. And we will see you back on March 14th. And happy gardening, everyone. Talk to you all later. And now I've got to figure out what button to press
Enjoy the
to,
weather, folks.
yeah, enjoy the weather. This is a really good time for preparing beds. When you do your cleanup, if you can, leave some of the stems there. And don't shred stems that you cut down. You can lay them down. If they have the native bees have nested in them, they'll still be able to get out and hatch if you don't chop them up. So we want to support our native bees. And I think that's it for today. Happy gardening, everyone. And we will see you in a couple weeks. Bye.
Bye-bye.